After refusing appointment as a cabinet minister in the aftermath of the elections, the president then persuaded me to become NPP's first ambassador to the United States of America, a position I served with distinction. I was subsequently appointed in 2003 as Minister for Trade and Industry and Presidential Special Initiatives to implement a new paradigm of economic development, which I had introduced in 2001, the assumption of office by President Kufuor. Between 2003 and 2007, I led the government's program for enhancing private sector development and ushering a golden age of business in Ghana. In 2007, I joined a distinguished group of 17 presidential aspirants to contest in the presidential primaries of the NPP. In that election, under very strange circumstances, the electoral process was truncated on the day of the election on account of accusations leveled against me of influencing the course of the elections. This strategy was designed to create disfavor against me in an attempt to diminish my popularity and the massive support I enjoyed among the rank and file of the grassroots of the party. In spite of this unfortunate occurrence, however, when the votes were finally counted, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo came first and I was the runner-up. According to the rules of the electoral process at that time, the two of us were programmed for a second-round ballot. It was in response to this development that I made my landmark declaration that to avoid a further deterioration of peace in an already divided party, I would make the supreme political sacrifice not to contest the runoff, but rather support my senior brother, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, to contest as the flag bearer for NPP. To contest as the flag bearer for NPP in the 2008 general elections. Despite the sacrifice I made to unite the party, as referred to above, there were very serious post-primary attacks on my supporters all over the country and an open show of hostility. Some of my supporters were victims of brutalities and continue to bear the scars of that treatment. I made several representations to the then leadership of the party, drawing their attention to the rancorous and divisive behavior of some elements in the party. Regrettably, however, my representations went unheeded. As a consequence, I gave notice of my decision to resign from the party in protest against the blatant alienation of my supporters, orchestrated by elements aligned to the leadership of the party at that time. The protests and reactions from the rank and file of the party at that time from all over the country compelled the then chairman of the party to constitute a reconciliation committee chaired by the then immediate past chairman of the party, Ambassador Samuel Odoyi Sykes. The committee upheld all my submissions and prevailed upon me to rescind my decision to resign, which I did, with a firm promise to address all the contentious issues I had raised in my notice of resignation. Unfortunately, however, all the promises made by the party leadership were never fulfilled, and indeed, the divisive and hostile attacks on my person and my supporters remained for several years thereafter and have continued to date. It is common knowledge that any party member who is associated directly or indirectly with Alan Kyerematen is treated with disdain and considered an outcast. Fellow countrymen and women, I've endured all this resentment and maintained my integrity within the party throughout the past 50 years. On assumption of office of the MPP in 2017, under the leadership of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I was appointed as Minister for Trade and Industry in the first term of the MPP administration and was retained in the same position by the President in his second term. During the past 6 years, I led the introduction and implementation of some of the most innovative and successful programs of the MPP, including the establishment of the One District, One Factory initiative, the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area (AFTA), with the headquarters of the Secretariat in Ghana, the development of new strategic anchor industries to diversify the economy in Ghana, including the automobile assembly and component manufacturing, the establishment of business resource centers and technology solution centers all over the country to provide comprehensive business development solutions to micro, small, and medium enterprises. The introduction of the new integrated customs management system, otherwise referred to as UNIPAS, which has significantly enhanced mobilization of government revenue. The establishment of industrial parks, including the flagship Greater Kumasi Industrial City and Special Economic Zone. The development of a national export strategy with a target of achieving export revenue of $25 billion United States dollars by 2030. And last but not the least, the introduction of business regulatory reforms and public-private dialogue mechanisms to facilitate government's interaction with the private sector. In spite of the limited budget put at my disposal during my tenure as cabinet minister, I was able to deliver significant achievements for the government and my country. Fellow countrymen and women, I believe I've served my country and intend to continue to do so. On the 5th of January 2023, I resigned honorably from my position as cabinet minister and declared my intention in a national broadcast to contest the presidential primaries of the NPP. On the 26th of August this year, I participated in the Super Delegates Conference to shortlist the 10 aspirants who had filed their nominations to contest in the primaries. I was selected as one of the 5 candidates to contest for the main presidential primaries scheduled for the 4th of November 2023. Fellow countrymen and women, after carefully analyzing the results of the Superdelegates Conference, I issued a press statement on the 6th of September this year, declaring my intention to exit the process leading to the presidential primaries. In the run-up to the Superdelegates Conference, the National Council of the party made some of the most controversial and contentious decisions in the history of our party. They rejected a petition signed by 9 out of the 10 aspirants requesting for the Superdelegates Conference to be held in one location, as well as to allow each delegate at the conference to nominate 5 persons instead of one, in line with the provisions of our party's constitution. In my humble and considered opinion, the decisions of the National Council were both unmeritorious and unconstitutional. To make matters worse, it was absolutely clear, as I indicated in my press statement of the 6th of September this year, that the Superdelegates Conference was strategically and tactically skewed and maneuvered in favor of one particular aspect. The level of intimidation and monetization that characterized the conference is unprecedented in the history of internal elections of our party. The subsequent decisions made by the National Council to vary the rules of procedure for the runoff